Welcome. Hi, everyone. So, I'm grateful that you opened up this message because we're going to start diving into what stopped you in the past from getting your success that you deserve and that you've been working for. And this is really important because you can't move forward unless you know why things happened from the past, what caused that to happen. And many of you, I suspect, had suspicions or even knowledge about why or what stops you, what blocks you from your success. And this is in all areas in your life. This isn't just business. This is what might be stopping you from becoming a non-smoker. This might be stopping you from releasing those 10 or 100 pounds. This might be stopping you from having the relationship that you want. And it certainly is stopping you from creating the business, or it's going to get in your way or make it more difficult or feel like a struggle than it really needs to be. Some of this you have absolutely complete control over. I would say 99.9% of it. We don't like to hear that because that means we need to work on ourselves. But the good news is you can, and you can get through this. And with the knowledge that you're about to learn in this segment and utilize it and be aware of it, now you can change it. There are 3 steps to change. Most people think there's much more than that, and there's not. The first one is awareness. So you have to be aware that something needs to be changed before you can change it. The second is understanding, which is now we're checking both boxes for you. Awareness, become aware of it. And then this second part, understanding, learning what, where, why, how it came about, and then what you can do about it, which is a third step, is a plan. Something to take action towards creating the new thought, belief, feeling, emotion, and habit around all of that. And there's your alarm that says, hey, it's time. It's time for you to take action about this. Let me turn this off. All right, there we go. All right. So the 3 reasons you can't be successful. And it seems a bit harsh. However, as I said, if you're not aware of it, then you can't understand it, you can't change it. So let's move forward in this. And I want to be quite frank with you. I know that you've had some level of success. And I know you're smart, and I know you work hard, and you're not a failure. Those are things that I know for sure are true about you. But we've got the process of success backwards. And let me explain what I mean. It's evident in your stalling and distraction and feeling a little bit desperate at times. So what am I saying to you? There are telltale signs that you will fail. And the first thing we search for when we have a concern or we want something to change, like say moving some weight loss, letting go of some belief system you have, wanting to lose weight, is a tactic. So what that means is that you go to find the latest diet. You go to find how to make more money in your business. And you click on something that says, oh, well, you can do more ads with Facebook. You look for tactics, strategies to put in place. And typically what happens, and I know for myself included, if I haven't looked at my belief systems and some of the stories that I tell myself, then following through with that tactic is difficult and it's struggle. It's a struggle. It's hard. I make it hard. And there's soon after that, I will stop doing it. But that is typically what we do. It makes us feel good because we're doing something about whatever it is that we're finding a challenge or opportunity with. And because that feeling good helps us to move forward, we think we're doing the right thing. And that is not the place to start. Because here's what's happening. We tell ourselves tales. We tell ourselves fairy tales. If you were ever told fairy tales when you were younger, there's Hansel and Gretel, there's Chicken Little, there's, most of them have some kind of moral statement to them. Others don't. The Three Bears, Little Red Riding Hood are some of the most famous fairy tales. Cinderella, you could go on and on and on. But here's the thing, which really fascinated me when I did the research for the book that you see. This was actually a PowerPoint I did around my book. You can be right about everything and still have nothing. How to give up the need to be right and really get what you want. Is that research has discovered that we make up stories, and it's not we, it's actually our brain makes up stories. It fills in the blanks of your story. So let's say something happened, and it really did happen to you, and maybe it frightened you. 4 children running down a meadow, a pasture, and they see a big black snake slithering across the trail. And every one of them have a different story about that snake. And one of them is frightened out of their mind. What's really fascinating is the one who thought, ooh, that's really cool. That's a great snake. It was so much fun to see. Wow, wasn't it big? Made up that story in their mind. And then the other one who was scared out of their mind made up another story. Oh, it was standing on its end and it was striking at us and it was just so mad and it was so mean. I was so frightened. Same experience, 2 different stories, and the other 2 have something in between. What happens is the brain actually creates and fills in the dots of the story. So whatever the brain can't comprehend, it makes stuff up, is what it's doing. So realize that a lot of the stories that you tell to yourself about yourself have been made up. They're fairy tales. They are truly fairy tales. Your brain has connected the dots. 80% of it was made up by the brain. So I thought that was just fascinating, because what that means is that our negative self-talk especially is made up, and it's not true. The third reason you would fail is traditions. And what I mean by traditions, these are your limiting beliefs that was created from that story. These are your habits that's been created from that story. So a habit for most of my clients, you're probably aware that by now that I've done weight loss for quite a long time. It's the same for hidden belief systems, whether you're trying to release weight or you're trying to grow your business or get more money in your business or have a great relationship. It's all the same for beliefs that stop us. And those beliefs and those stories create habits, which are your traditions, and you keep falling into those habits. So typically, a dieter will be great on their food program for weeks and weeks and weeks, and then have one difficult day because emotionally it's difficult, it's stressful, they feel sad, they feel angry, they feel frustrated, they feel overwhelmed, whatever it may be. And their typical habit after telling the story was to go binge. So hundreds, if not thousands of calories later, now the stories are about what a horrible person they are. They can never be consistent. They will never be able to lose weight. No one will ever love them. So those are typically the type of stories that happen. Same thing happens in our business. You try something. So you bought into a tactic and you tried it first 2 modules, first 2 weeks, and it's not working for you, because you find yourself distracting yourself from studying it any further. There's a belief system perhaps that says, this could never happen for me. I'm not good enough for this. I'm not smart enough. I'm too young. I'm too old. I'm too fat. I'm too thin. We can come up with all kinds of stories around to fill in the blanks around those sayings, those belief systems. We go into what ifs. Well, what if I am thinner? And all the negative attributes of what that would take. For instance, what if I was thinner? Then I would have to be on a consistent diet of foods that I hate and wouldn't be able to enjoy anything that I really, truly enjoy. Is that an incentive to stay on a food program? Probably not. Things happen in our business. What if I start creating a successful business and I get the income that I'm looking for and I have to work more hours and I have to work harder? And I can't go watch my daughter's baseball game, and I can't go watch my son play his clarinet because I'm just way too busy. Not much of an incentive to grow your business, is it? So we come up with these traditions, and traditions are not only actions, there's a way of thinking. So one way of thinking is, well, why me? Why is this happening to me? We like to blame others. It's kind of a normal response for a learning behavior, for blaming others. So why is this happening to me? Rather than, this is interesting. And so it is. It's like this. But maybe I can think differently about it. What we do know is the situations don't change necessarily, but what we think and how we think about it changes. So therefore it changes our feeling around what's happening. Our situations that are going on look a little different. We can feel differently about them. And here's some telltale clues. These are going to tell me that you're going to fail. If you are saying any of these things, then let's talk about it on our weekly call or in the Facebook group, because I can guarantee you other people are saying these things too. The next caveat to that is these are things that your prospects are going to say to you. Many people call them objections. Really, they're not. They're clues as to why something might be, or something is going on, and your job is to figure out what that is and why, so that you can help them make better decisions. The decision for them still may be no, and we're not manipulating them. We are coaching them, because if you have someone say one of these 4 things and you're not exploring that a little bit further with them, then you've just let them stay in the scenario that they're in rather than giving them the opportunity to change. It's rather disappointing, truthfully, that you haven't done your best to help someone else to do their best. So this is what typical prospects typically say when they're not quite sure and they haven't heard enough. Some people call it enough value for your program. This might be what you are saying. It kind of gets you to let yourself off the hook so that you don't have to follow through with things that are difficult or hard. And when we change, it is difficult and hard sometimes. Again, that goes about how you think about it, and how you feel about it and how you believe about it. But many people will tell you change is hard. And so there is a fear. And gratefully that you stepped forward past your fear to work into this course, because you can make this happen, especially if you're in this module and beyond this module. So here we go. I'm going to read this book or watch this video. I love reading. I've been a reader since I was a kid. I used to go check out, I used to be one of those kids who would check out 10, 12 books from a library, if you know what that is. I have a stack of books next to my side of the sofa where we watch TV because I'm always reading something in the morning. And I have stacks of books on either side of me. I love books, but I don't use it as a distraction to move me forward. Let me try this again. I don't use this as a distraction to take up time that's going to create a problem with my income because I'm not moving forward in my income. So there are some amazing books out there for both emotional self-development, spiritual self-development, and strategy and tactics. So you have to be very careful reading these books and saying this is going to be the answer for you, because unless you take care of some of these things that are sabotaging you, it's not going to be. You're not going to follow through with it. Some things are not for you, and we talked about those in the module, I think it was 2. You have to pick some things that are right for you, your avenues of revenue, and focus only on those. And again, watching this video, there's all kinds of advice out there on YouTube. I have a lot of YouTube videos out there as well. But if you're taking your time only watching those videos and not taking action, or it's distracting you from taking the action you need to take, that's a belief system, underlying belief system. And you're going back to what we typically do. We find a tactic first rather than go from fairy tales and traditions first. So if you were in a sales conversation and someone said, well, I'm gonna, they don't take advantage of your offer, whatever it is, I'm gonna go read this book. My question would be, how has that worked for you in the past? Do you normally take action from a book or a video or whatever, a course or whatever it is that they might be thinking about taking? And if they say yes, then give me an example of that. What has it done for you? How have you been successful? I want to hear it. I love success stories. Tell me. Most people have not followed through from reading a book. They get a lot of great knowledge, a lot of good information. They just haven't followed through with it. And that includes self-development too. There's only a few people that have gone through my book and actually done the exercises. And I say a few, less than a handful. Because they read the book and then they don't follow through with the exercises. It's been 3 weeks and I am doing great now. Fantastic. Congratulations. That's awesome. Way to go. Good job. Typical behavior is that, and this is with dieters and anyone in any new program, the first three weeks, they are all in, all excited. And then after 3 weeks, the motivation and the excitement and the inspiration dies down. And they start going back to their old habits and their own ways of thinking. I had an adult client shared that she felt like a failure her whole life. And she knew exactly why she felt that way. She vividly remembered being 12 years old, standing at home plate. She was the last batter, final inning, closing game of the season. It was a runner on second and third. And all she had to do was get one of the runners in, and they would win the game. First pitch was a ball. Second, the same. And then the pitcher threw a fastball, swing and a strike. She looked up at her dad in the stands. He gave her a thumbs up. And she could hear him call out to her, "It's all right, shake it off, you've got this." The pitcher wound up, released, and pitch was wobbly. Another ball. Now she had 1 strike and 3 balls. She looked in the stands again. Dad again gave her a thumbs up. "You've got this." This time it was a curveball, over home plate, swing and a miss. Now she had 2 strikes and 3 balls. This swing of the bat could bring in the runner from third base and win the game. The pressure she felt was incredible. She wanted so badly to hit that ball and get the runner in, win the game, and please her dad. She again looked up, shakes his head, yes, you've got this. Take your time. Pitch came faster than she could have expected, and she swung strike 3. She had just struck out the last game of the season and lost the game. Glancing at her dad in the stands, she saw him shake his head now, look down, and in that moment she decided she was a failure. It was not a conscious thought, I am a failure, but something deep inside of the subconscious mind recorded the story as, I am a failure, and I will fail at anything I try. Her dad met her outside the dugout, put his arm around her, assured her that it was a good game, and no matter what he said, it didn't matter in that moment. She knew she was a failure. And soon after, she stopped playing ball. Her grades waffled, she withdrew from friends. Years later, she saw herself in a photo at the family gathering. And there she was at home plate on that day. Her dad mentioned how proud he was of her, and she blurted out, proud? How proud of me could you have been? You shook your head no and looked down at the ground just when I was looking for encouragement from you when I struck out. Her dad looked confused and a bit stunned. He thought he'd always given all of his children nothing but encouragement. It took him a while to remember that moment. It turned out he was responding to a question from a couple sitting next to him. We're starving. Is there an Italian restaurant in town? And he shook his head no, as he expressed he was not local, and looked down to the ground to pick up his empty soda cup. It was all innocent, but she made up that story in her mind about herself. As an adult, she would tell me about every failure she had with dieting, every failure with friendships, every failure with work. She thought she had known the truth about her childhood story and still acted as if she was a failure. She kept repeating the same behaviors over and over and over again, constantly proving the story was right. A story that her brain and her mind and herself made up, and she lived by every day. To make you wonder what stories you've been living by that aren't true, that you misinterpreted reactions of people or thoughts or feelings, or even what they said. So I've been doing this for 3 weeks and I'm doing great now. Is congratulate them, say that is fabulous. To help them to realize that sometimes the behavior of humans is that about 3 weeks we lose our enthusiasm and our motivation. And that you can certainly help them with that. I can do this on my own is also often heard. And you may have been thinking that before you bought this course. So congratulations for moving past that and knowing and realizing that you need help. Most women have a problem with asking. So asking for help is really important, and following through by investing in yourself. That's fabulous. But typically, because even of our DNA, because of our survival mechanisms have always been in a group, a clan, which includes family, this really isn't true. We all need support. We all need help. We all need a support system. So if you're saying this to yourself, one, you're not alone. 2, ask. Ask for help. Even the silliest questions, someone else has it too. You think it's silly, but someone else is afraid to ask it too. So step past the fear and ask the question. Again, in weekly calls or in the Facebook group, you'll be surprised at how many people will support you for something that you thought was a stupid question. Because the reality is, it's built in our DNA to not do things alone. Can we be independent? Absolutely. But we'll need some kind of support system along the way. And here's the biggest one: I can't afford it. And this typically is one of those objections that you want to kind of get out of the way as soon as possible. So if you hear people talking in a sales conversation about, I can't make my mortgage, I can't make my car payments, you might want to actually come right out and ask. The thing is about sales is one, honesty and being curious and asking them, is that really true? Is this program something that's within your financial, within your realm? Because I don't want to build it up and then both of us be disappointed because it's not something you can do. Typically, I can't afford it is a smoke and mirror statement, because there's one of two things going on. And actually, with any of these objections, if you want to call them that, I just call them curiosities and questions. But typically, it means I can't afford it is I don't trust you. And so be honest with them. I find that most people who say that tell me they can't afford it because they don't trust me. Is that what you're feeling? And then give me an example of that. 99% of the time it's they don't trust themselves. That they have bought other tactics before, they have bought other products before, and they didn't use them. So that's really what's going on, and some coaching can happen around that. I don't trust myself. Because you have a product that can work, you have a service, coaching practice that can work for them, you have a course, you have a workshop, and you know it works. It's about, again, helping build them up to know that they can do it, as well. We paint what-if scenarios, and it creates more fear and become paralyzed. You find yourself trapped in excuses, finding the solid reasons, avoiding the pain of uncertainty and unfamiliarity, and that's common. What I'm saying is you're normal, right? You're normal. There's nothing wrong with you. But now that you know this, you can start watching your what-if scenarios, because they create stagnation and inactivity. So watch your what-ifs, watch your why me's, watch any of these objections that you have about something that you're trying. You're ready to move forward. So here's the key to change. Are you willing to wait? And for how long? Chances are you've already waited for a long time. And you're in this program and you're deep into these modules. So yay for you. Congratulations. That's awesome. You are ready to keep making the steps forward to change and to create the income in your business and to create changes in your life that help you to be happy and joyful and prosperous. And prosperity really is the road to happiness and joyfulness, whatever that means to you. Is it a new house? Is it a new car? Is it paying the bills? What is it? Whatever that is. We all want to be happy. We all want to be healthy. We all want great relationships. Those are the things that we all want together. So not a problem. You want it. What are you going to do about it? So congratulations for being this far in, and keep watching these videos. I'm going to go into the 4 archetypes that sabotage whatever you're doing, so you can have more of that step 2 understanding in the next segment. And then we'll get into the sales conversation and what does that look like in the next module. So keep watching, keep asking questions, keep asking for support. Talk to me on our weekly calls or the Facebook group. But the more knowledge that you have, as they say, knowledge is power. The more power you have over your circumstances that have once held you back, so you can just skyrocket, launch. Here in Florida, we're near Cape Canaveral, so we actually see the rockets go off. You can be a rocket ship that creates the income that you want in the time frame that you want to work it, so that you can spend time that's important to you with the people that are important to you. So we'll see you on the next module.